What if one man lived in the shadows for over 4 decades, terrorizing California, unseen, unknown, and untouchable? The Golden State Killer struck fear into countless lives, leaving only mystery and devastation in his wake. His identity remained hidden until a relentless writer, Michelle McNamara, fought tirelessly to uncover the truth. What secrets did she uncover before her untimely death? And how did modern technology finally bring the killer to justice? Stay with us as we dive into a story of obsession, justice, and the ultimate battle between good and evil. Don't miss out on the shocking twists in this case. Keep watching. In the chilling silence of the courtroom, victims stood, their voices filled with the weight of decades-long pain, confronting the man who haunted their lives, the so-called Golden State Killer, Joseph DeAngelo. His reign of terror spanned California, leaving broken families and shattered lives in his wake. He was the boogeyman hiding in the shadows, stalking his victims in the night, a figure that seemed to disappear into thin air, only to reappear and strike again. But as his victims gathered the courage to speak out, a new chapter in this dark saga began to unfold, one that would reveal a monster hiding in plain sight. A monster in the shadows. The Golden State Killer's violent spree began in 1976, terrorizing Northern California before moving south. In his wake, he left at least 13 murders, over 50 rapes, and countless broken lives. His MO was terrifying in its precision, entering homes under the cover of darkness, confronting sleeping couples, and binding his victims. The fear he instilled was palpable. His victims had no idea when or where he would strike next. They were left to wonder, as one victim said, "Is he coming back? Is he still watching me?" The citizen sleuth who never gave up. Among the countless individuals impacted by the Golden State Killer's crimes was Michelle McNamara, a true crime writer whose obsession with the case became all-consuming. As a wife, mother, and passionate writer, Michelle immersed herself in the case with a tenacity that few could understand. For her, the Golden State Killer wasn't just a figure in a cold case. It was a puzzle that needed to be solved. She used her unique ability to track down details, following leads that others had missed, often connecting with survivors and investigators in her quest for justice. Michelle's obsession with the case led her to write an article for Los Angeles Magazine in 2013, in which she rebranded the East Area Rapist as the Golden State Killer. By doing so, she gave a name to the terror that had once seemed so elusive. But Michelle's dedication came at a heavy price, one that she would pay in a way no one could have anticipated. A life consumed, the investigation took a personal toll on Michelle. Her sleepless nights and constant research left her emotionally drained. She would often be in tears, facing setbacks and dead ends in her search for the killer. But for Michelle, this wasn't just a case, it was a mission. As her husband, comedian Patton Oswalt, put it, Michelle was 10 times smarter than him, a woman who thought and operated on a different level, driven by a need to uncover the truth. But even the strongest of hearts can be worn down by the weight of such a pursuit. In April 2016, Michelle died unexpectedly at the age of 46. Patton Oswalt's world crumbled in an instant. He was left to care for their daughter, Alice, while mourning the loss of the woman who had brought so much light into their lives. Michelle's death was not just a personal tragedy. It was a profound loss for the case she had worked so tirelessly to solve. DNA and technology. Despite the heartbreaking loss of Michelle, the hunt for the Golden State Killer continued. In 2018, 2 years after Michelle's death, an unexpected breakthrough came. Police, using new DNA technology, turned to genealogical databases and uncovered a match to a distant relative of the killer. This cutting-edge technique led investigators to Joseph James DeAngelo, a former police officer, who had managed to evade capture for over 4 decades. DeAngelo's arrest was a moment of vindication for survivors, investigators, and for Michelle's memory. For the victims who had lived in fear for so long, the realization that their tormentor would finally face justice was a moment of bittersweet relief. As Patton Oswalt put it, Michelle had given them the spark that kept the case alive, and now justice was within reach. The lasting impact? DeAngelo's victims, many of whom had lived with the scars of their trauma for decades, finally had their moment in court. They spoke of the horror, the fear, and the enduring pain caused by his attacks. For many, the Golden State Killer had stolen not just their safety, but their innocence, their sense of peace. Yet, as each victim spoke, there was a profound sense of triumph. They were no longer victims, they were survivors, thriving in the face of unimaginable evil. In court, they described the terror of waking up to find themselves bound and at the mercy of a maniac. the anguish of living with the knowledge that they were powerless to protect themselves or their loved ones. Yet, despite the horror of their experiences, these survivors found strength in their voices, and in their stories, they became a force of justice. As one survivor declared, "Now I am a survivor. I am a victor in the battle between good and evil." A final reckoning. As D'Angelo sat in court, stone-faced, hearing the voices of those he had tormented, he could no longer hide from the truth. The victims he had so callously violated had come to reclaim their power. They had lived with his terror for years, but now they would be the ones to deliver the final judgment. D'Angelo's silence spoke volumes. He was a man who had preyed on the vulnerable for years, but now, in the face of his accusers, he was exposed for the monster he truly was. In June 2020, D'Angelo pled guilty to 13 counts of murder and 13 counts of kidnapping. It was a long-awaited victory for the victims, their families, and to the memory of Michelle McNamara, whose relentless pursuit of justice had brought them this far. Her work, along with the dedication of law enforcement and investigators, had ensured that D'Angelo would no longer remain a ghost in the shadows. Justice at last had been served. A new chapter. For the survivors, D'Angelo's arrest marked the beginning of a new chapter. The trauma they had carried for so long could never be erased, but they were no longer bound by it. They were free to live their lives without the constant fear that had once stalked them. As one victim put it, the devil loses and justice wins. The Golden State Killer's reign of terror had come to an end, and with it the beginning of healing. Michelle McNamara's legacy lived on, not just in the pages of her book, but in the lives of those who had fought for justice. Her spirit, her dedication, and her relentless pursuit of truth had made this moment possible. And in the end, it was her voice, too, that had helped bring the Golden State Killer to justice. The story of the Golden State Killer is one of tragedy, terror, and triumph. A serial predator who haunted California for decades, his crimes went unsolved, until a passionate writer, Michelle McNamara, and relentless investigators finally brought him to justice. But the journey didn't end there. There are still so many questions that remain. How many more secrets are locked away in the shadows of these chilling cases? If you think this was gripping, you won't want to miss our next video. The Unsolved Murders of the Hinterkaifeck Farm. A case so eerie, it's haunted the minds of investigators and true crime enthusiasts for years. Did a family meet their grisly end at the hands of someone they knew, or was it the work of an unknown lurking monster? We'll dive deep into the twisted events surrounding the Hinterkaifeck murders, and trust us, this is a story you'll want to be part of. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to our channel. By hitting that notification bell, you'll never miss a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Each video is packed with twists, mysteries, and shocking revelations that you won't find anywhere else. Don't miss out on the stories that everyone will be talking about. Subscribe now and join our growing community of crime enthusiasts who crave the truth.